Should you make your flying units Wyvern Knights or Griffin Knights? And what is the major difference between them? Or what are the major differences between them? So, Griffin Knights tend to specialize in one physical weapon. So, swords, axes, lances, and then also they gain stabs, a rank of C at stabs. And you get an A rank in the martial, so in one of the three weapons I just mentioned, and you also get a C rank in stabs. So if you have an affinity, like every unit has one weapon type that they excel in, and they gain an extra rank in this. So in this case, Chloe gets +1 rank in spears, putting her at S. But if you had a Griffin Knight with +1 rank in stabs, like they had an affinity towards stabs, they'd have B in stabs and A in the other martial weapon. So Griffin Knight has better speed growth, it has some magic growth, and it also has slightly worse strength growth than Wyvern. Wyvern has more health, I think more defense, and also definitely more strength. They also have pretty similar speed in general, but Griffin tends to be faster, Wyvern tends to hit harder. However, Griffin does have magic growth and Wyvern does not. So if you want a unit who already has some magic growth, and you want to hand them a magical weapon, like in this case a Flame Lance, 11 Sword, something like that, that can be optimal. If you want to make a mage a Wyvern, making them a Griffin, you can make a Sword Griffin so that you can use Levin Sword and also have magic growth on top of their base magic growth, allowing them to continue to deal good damage throughout an entire run. So any mage could become a Griffin Knight and just use Levin Sword, and that's totally viable, because Levin Sword is honestly one of the strongest magical weapons in the game. It also has good accessibility. You can get it pretty early. You can craft it with steel, like you can craft it out of a steel sword, so pretty crazy. For Wyvern, you get access to 2 weapons, and you get B rank in both of them. So in this case, I have A in swords from the affinity of swords on Alir, and then B in spears. So you could have axe and spear and sword and spear. So you can have 2 different types of wyverns. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. You can also do spear and axe. So you can be any of the 2 weapon triangles. Now, why would you want to do that? It has better strength growth, which can be good for just fighting things. You can also weapon triangle enemies. So for example, there's an enemy with a sword over here. I can switch between my steel and sword, my steel lance and steel sword +5s. So I can now break this enemy and attack it without getting counterattacked. So one has specialization and magic and stabs, and the other is more damage oriented. Those are the major differences between them. There's also like minor things, like certain stat growths and the bases are slightly different. Griffin has slightly faster speed for its base. Wyvern has, I think, like 1 or 2 points more of strength on its base. So when you switch from one advanced class to the other, the bases change. So I think Wyvern also has more health, more defense, and less res. And Griffin has less defense and more res. So one is better at tanking physical, the other is better at tanking magic. Basically, the easiest way to look at them is one is more magic oriented and the other is more physical oriented. So characters who excel on magic and staff classes are really good on Griffin, and units who excel on physical are really good on Wyvern. However, if you have a unit with really high strength growth, like 45 to 50% strength growth, and you throw them on Griffin, they now get plus 20% speed growth. So if they only had, 20 to 30% speed growth, now they have 40 to 50% speed growth. So Griffin can also speed up slow units, and there's no downside to doing this. And it can get S rank and things. So you could have like if you had a unit who's on axes, for example, and they have an axe affinity, meaning they get an extra rank on axes. You put them on Axe Griffin Knight, they have S rank in axes. Whereas on Wyvern, you can't get any S rank because you have access to 2 higher level, like medium high level stats. Like you get 2 B ranks. Whereas with Griffin, you get an A rank weapon and then a C rank staff. So one is better at specialization and magic. The other is better at being a more like generalist unit type. Units who already have good speed, I would say usually want to go on Wyvern, and units who have good strength growth usually want to go on Griffin. In the case of Chloe, putting her on Griffin, it makes her speed growth absolutely insane. And as long as she has, like a Flame Lance and a good forged weapon, she can be relevant throughout an entire run on Maddening. And I've used the same lance on her since the beginning of the game. It was at +3 for the longest time. You can hold. You don't have to do +5 on things. You can just get things to +3, and it's still almost as good. The cost to getting things to +5 is pretty high. But those are the major differences between the two classes. On this map, this is a skirmish. I'm just holding up. I'm just chilling out in a corner, killing all these enemies. They can't hit me. So I killed all their flyers, and now I'm just killing them. And the only reason I opted to do this in this map is because this map in particular, this is a Chapter 24 skirmish. These things are harder than the Chapter 24 enemies. They have like insane stats, and I'm like barely able to put a dent in them. Like, look at some of these speeds. You have 33 speed, 31 speed, 36 speed hero. These dudes don't have ranged weapons, but I cleared out all the ranged weapon ones using Thoron in good positioning, but absolutely crazy. Some of these skirmishes, some of these maps are just completely busted in terms of like difficulty curve. Now there are other flying classes. You have these two uniques. You have Ivy's unique like Wyvern Mage, and then Hortensia's unique like Pegasus healer thing. These are really good. These are really good classes, but these are the only units that can use them. So yeah, they're also just generally good units to use if you want. So that's it for this one. Definitely like and subscribe if you found this useful. Hopefully this helps you make a good decision for reclassing a unit, so you know which units should go into which classes, or the pros and cons of picking Wyvern over Griffin and vice versa. So yeah, definitely like and subscribe. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know if you have any other input about the decision between these two classes, and I'll see you in the next one.